Welcome to the We Are Claimin'It podcast, where real women take real steps towards healthier living, meaningful purpose, and income that truly transforms their lives and their family's future. I'm your host, Tammy Guillory. If you're done waiting for the right time, you're in the right place. Let's get started. I am
Yeah.
so excited about this interview and this episode. But before I introduce you to our guest, I want to share something that's on my heart today. I woke up and I just started thinking every episode of this podcast and every single woman that I choose to interview matters deeply. I don't know if you know this about me, but I have five grown adult children. Four of them are girls. They're my daughters, and I have five granddaughters. And yeah, we only have one boy. And we do have a grandson on the way. And Emily, I don't even know if you know that yet, but yeah, so I have a
No,
grandson on the way, first one. But there's a lot of girl power in our house. And some of what I share on this podcast are things that I wish my younger self would have known so that I could have been a better mother and a better woman in my 20s and 30s. But I look back and I realize that we can only do the best that we know how at that time. But I care deeply about the kind of women that we're raising. And it took me years of hard work to become the person I am today and to love myself the way that God loves me. And I am still a work in progress, as we all are. But if I can help just one person find who they are sooner, that's a win for me. And that is truly why I do this podcast. And it's why I choose the women that I choose for this podcast. I feel like God's calling each and every one of us for a reason and a purpose. And there's so much hurt in the world. And as women, we take on so much. And for many of us, we have past hurts and the pain is real. But we get a choice. We can show up like victims or like victors. And so for me, it's up to us to raise strong, faith-filled women and women that know who they are in Christ. And today's guest models that in such a powerful way. She has impacted the lives of so many people and she continues to do so. I think about people that leave a legacy. It's not about what we have or what we leave behind. It's about how we make people feel. And let me just tell you, she will call you out on your BS and the lies that we tell ourselves. And you might want to ask me later how I know that, because maybe she's called me out on some of those. I've been knowing her a long time. I was in my 30s when I first met her. But she is a wife. She's a mother of two incredible adult children. Her son is serving in our country, which we honor. And her daughter, she stepped into entrepreneurship and she owns her own salon, which is super cool. She's a woman who spent her life building strength in others. She and her husband own two brick and mortar businesses and a local gym franchise that I attend, Regymen Fitness, and also a local nutrition store. And today we're not just talking about workouts. We're going to talk about strength, consistency, refusing to use age as a crutch, as many of us do, and what happens when our faith becomes part of your foundations. I will say this, if you've ever struggled to stay consistent, if you've ever felt like it might be too late, this conversation is going to challenge you and encourage you. So, Emily, I am so grateful that you are here with me today. I know we've been looking forward to this. We've been talking about it. You've been in the fitness industry your entire life, but we want to know who you were before you were a trainer.
So I had some time to think about this. Tammy, thank you for that beautiful introduction. First of all, I have known you a long time and I have had the privilege of watching your transformation and your changes in your life. And I've often used you as an example of strength because there's been so many times when you've been hurt or you're, not feeling your best and you'll continue to show up. And, personal stories we've shared back and forth have really been impactful for me because you've inspired me beyond what you knew at times when you handled a certain situation a certain way that maybe I would have reacted differently to, and you were able to take the high road on things and just do things different. And so I've always looked to you also as a great woman and a woman of God now more than ever, and I just really admire you, and I've been grateful for your example. So thank you for the beautiful introductions, first of all. But second, who was I before fitness? Gosh, this is a good question. I haven't even really reflected on in a long time. I'll start with here. A few months ago, I had some boxes that I have toted around from home to home as we've moved from Utah to Louisiana in two different homes. And they were like memorabilia from school age, years, and just some things from years and years ago. And they've been treasures I've toted around from house to house. And I took out all these books that I would write in journals. And usually in my journals at the time of my life when I would write in journals was my teenage years as a girl. And I would write in a few pages and then I would move on to a new book or whatever. I wasn't a consistent person with my journaling. So what I noticed is I would come to journaling when I was very, very happy or very, very sad. I don't know how you are as a woman, but that was where I was. And yeah, so I would
I think
journal
I
when
can
I was very,
relate.
very
I have
yeah.
journals
So
everywhere, tons of them.
yeah, and so I started piecing these together, and I sat here on a Sunday, and I broke down in tears, and I just cried because I could see, gosh, this is jumping right in the deep end, Tammy. So here we go. As a younger girl, I remember being very close to God and being very close to my connection to God as a young girl, 16, 17. And somewhere between those ages of 17, maybe 18, I could see in my journaling where I really started to be pulled into things that I would have never chosen for my life. And I chose and made decisions that were not great for my life, people that were not great for my life, examples that were not great for my life. And I could see in my journaling how it impacted my self worth, my self esteem, my value in my own eyes, obviously not with God, but in my own ideas of what I thought I should be. And I saw where that took my life and where the path I was headed was in such a sad and hopeless direction. And gosh, I just made so many decisions and things because I felt so worthless. I felt so devalued. So I was a lost girl before I found fitness and before I was introduced to fitness by a sister of mine. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing with people I shouldn't have been doing them with. And doing all the things that a teenage girl might do, but I could just really see that separation in my life from where I wanted to be and who I knew I was deep down to where I now didn't have the value in my own mind. And I can look back on my life and see that. So before fitness, I was very lost, and fitness helped me recenter.
That's interesting. So I did not know that about you. So I
I
just
didn't
learned
even.
something new about you, right? So I know that you were born in Utah, and I know you
Mhm.
have a truckload of family members and brothers and sisters, but I did
Right.
not know that. I actually assumed that you've always been in fitness. So tell me about that. When did you get into fitness? Was How old were
So
you?
I'll be very, I don't know how explicit this podcast is, but I found marijuana in my younger years, and that was a crutch for me to be able to get through the day. And then alcohol came along with that. So just doing things that were very destructive to my body in my teenage years and my early 20s. And just being very much like a lot of kids are. But being in that position, I had a sister who was watching me kind of head down that path. I have six sisters. So you said big family. I have five brothers and six sisters. And I'm the 10th of those 12 children. And my second older sister, so she's a couple above me, about three kids above me. She said, "Hey, I'm going to go check out the gym. And I just didn't know if you wanted to go with me or come try it out. You might like it." And I just really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I went, and I guess she got like a free session with a trainer. And this kid kind of basically just showed us around the gym, and that was his job. But I had never been in a gym before. I had no idea what I was going to experience. And so I did go into the gym. We did some things. I was so sore, Tammy. I couldn't move my body for like a week after that. So horrible like experience in the first day or two. But then I found classes. I would go to yoga. I would go to stretching. I would go to like just the fitness classes where there was other women. And I loved that high that came from that. Remember those aerobics classes that were the best ever, like where you're just super pumped up and you just get excited because the music is pumping and all the things. And I loved that feeling. And so I quickly attached to the dopamine hit, the adrenaline, the feeling that it brought me up. And so I knew it was like a step in the right direction to get me out of this hole that I had put myself in. So it was kind of a start of a new addiction, I guess, if you will. That was a healthy addiction. So that was where it started.
So when did you guys move to Louisiana? I feel like when I met you, that was about the time you moved to Louisiana. So I'm assuming you and your husband met each other in Utah. Did y'all meet each other in Utah?
In that very gym where I went
Okay.
for the very first time. I had been going there for years at that point, and I was recently single and had broken up with a boyfriend. And I met my husband in that very gym. He was traveling for work and was in that space. And of course, I noticed him. He was cute, and I just happened to try to have a conversation with him. And the rest is history. We went to Applebee's for 3 hours and sat and chatted it up. And he's from a small island in the South Pacific called Samoa, and very similar upbringings, very similar religious upbringings. We both were raised on a farm. We both worked really hard as kids. And so we had a lot of common interests, beliefs, and structure of our families. even being halfway across the world. So very interesting. But yeah, it was done. We were married in about 6 months. So that was it.
Okay. I had
Yeah.
no idea. And then y'all moved to Louisiana, and that's when I met
Did
you.
in yeah, 2005, he took a job here, with the CN Railroad, and we moved across the country, and I have no family here. I didn't have any connections, and, we built a lot of what this is. I don't know how this happened, but it was very organic, and we have built our lives and our families and our connections here, so I think we're stuck. We're here for good.
Would you say, like, discipline was always part of your DNA? Because you are very disciplined. You
You know
you
what?
you are when it comes to fitness and eating and doing the right things and making the right choices, you're super disciplined.
I appreciate that. I guess I didn't even connect those 2 myself, and, I think, Tammy, what we were really conditioned to work hard, and so that probably is more I would say that's more my strong suit than actually being disciplined because you've met me, I'm a little all over the place at times, and, I don't like to sit still very long, but I do work really hard and I do grind a lot, and that I think is translating well into my careers and my life choices and all the things that go with that. So, yeah, that definitely translates. We were both raised to be very hard workers. So if there's a job to get done, we didn't have a choice to not do that job. It was do it or else because we wouldn't eat, you know?
Gosh.
Mom wasn't so yeah, yeah, those moments.
Yeah, I don't know, I just, it's interesting because I definitely didn't grow up on a farm, but I was a hard worker too. I was working at 12 years old, right? I was babysitting, and then I got a job as soon as I can get a job, and then I held
Mm.
2 jobs, and so, if I wanted a car, I needed to go to work, and I didn't get a car until after I graduated high school because I paid for my car, so yeah, I mean, I understand that. So I want to ask you another
Mhm.
question, and this is going to talk a little bit to our relationship, right? So we met. I was in my 30s. I
Mhm.
remember meeting you. I remember at that time I was already into fitness. I was running. I had worked out with a personal trainer for years, but I was never really comfortable in my own body. I was very self-conscious at that time, and I had went it was just a couple of houses down from me. You could come over, you were gonna personal train me and 2 other ladies that I'm still friends with today. But I remember meeting you and just, not having that self-esteem, and I would have never walked into a gym by myself, right, if I wasn't, like, training with someone or in a class. But there's so many women today that are in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, and, some of them are saying, "Oh, well, it's too late." And
Mm.
I feel there might be something else holding them back, but what do you think's really holding people back?
You nailed that so well because you said it. It's the confidence that we all wish we had, but we don't come with, right? It comes from years of, again, like I said, from my younger self telling me I wasn't worthy of it or I wasn't confident to feel like I deserved that for myself. And also that environment can be very intimidating overall. And any gym can be very intimidating. And I think everybody walks in there thinking we all know what we're doing in there and you're the only one that doesn't. And you're the new person and everyone's eyes are on you. And so I think that the stigma around a gym still exists. It's gotten a lot better than it used to be. But as a woman who may just want to get started but have no idea where to go from here and like have no clue where to start, I think that the thing that holds women back the most is our own vision of our future. We don't know how to picture ourselves as our future selves. And I think that's one of the things I like to encourage my clients that are here at my studio, at my home, or my members at the gym is picture yourself in the future. We walk in that door, we always visualize that hour. Like, how are you going to feel when the hour's over? But then who are you in a year from now? Who are you in 2 years from now? So if we can put ourselves in a position to actually love this girl enough, if we can love this girl who we see in the mirror every day enough to say, who will you be tomorrow, in a year, in 2 years, in even a minute or a month, whatever that is? Where will you be and how will you feel about her if you just take that step? And
Yeah.
everything's just such a small baby step. And so you've got to get past the fear. I think fear grips so many of us, but fear is false evidences appearing real. I know you've heard that before, right?
Yes. Yes, I have. Yeah.
It's just your own brain playing the tricks on you so that you think you're not going to be able to do the thing. So you stay frozen. And frozen, we don't do anything. So it's the action you have to take. You have to step forward. You have to get over the fear. And that is
Agree.
what holds more women back from doing business, from doing fitness, from doing anything. The social, like it holds us all back, right? It's so common.
So what I've found is, including myself, is people want instant results.
Mm,
We live in this microwave society, right?
yeah,
So people think that I can eat healthy for, 5 days in a row and I'm going to be down on the scale 5 pounds, right? Well,
right.
it really is, eliminating water out your body, right? I didn't lose fat in 5 days. And people assume that I can do this fast
Mm,
and they give up too soon. And I think it's with anything in life. It's like we don't live in a microwave society. It is habits, it's disciplines, it's doing small daily steps every single day.
mhm.
Right? I mean, would you agree? And I think,
Absolutely.
and you are right. Mindset is so huge too. Like so many women are thinking, well, everybody's going to be looking at me, or I don't know how to do that properly. And that's what I love about your gym. I'll say that is for most of the trainers, they're going to demo and they're going to watch form and they're going to come around and correct you if you're doing something wrong. And so I don't know. For me, I feel like find the right gym, find somewhere where you do feel comfortable
Yeah.
and just start. Would you kind of agree on that too?
100% agree, and I think that's why when for the franchise we own called Regymen, it's a place where that can happen, and people don't have to feel intimidated to walk into that space, and there is such a warm, welcoming community there, and I don't just say that because you've heard me preach this from my microphone, and you've heard me say how important it is for everyone to be welcoming, because I think that position for anybody is so scary and so intimidating that when they take that big step to walk through the door, that step from 1 to 5 isn't the hardest. It's that step from 0 to 1. That's the biggest step in their life or their path. That's the hardest to take, and if they've made it through the door, the rest is history. We got them, girl. We got them because we know we have that environment that will nurture them and get them to feel like they belong and get them where they're trying to go. I have all the tools. I can give them the information they need to get to the next step. So that 1 to 2 isn't quite so hard if you have the right 0 to 1.
Yeah. I heard something the other day. This was through my company, actually. I was at an event and they talked about action equals motivation equals action. So
Mm,
sometimes I feel like we get stuck and then we don't feel like doing anything. We're letting the emotions
yeah.
take over. So we don't take
Mhm.
action.
Yeah.
But if we would just take like you say, that first step, walk in the door,
Yeah.
go outside for a walk. It's a beautiful day today. I mean, as soon as I've done this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get out in the sunshine, right? And just go
Absolutely.
for a walk, right?
Yeah,
But it's taking that action that will motivate you to take more action. So, anyway,
that's so
just something I
so
heard.
accurate. I love that. I'm gonna record that and save that for my notes too, Tammy, because that's so perfect. It's never about feeling motivated, about feelings. Feelings are what keep us from doing a lot of things because we feel all of our stuff when what we need to do is just step. And if it's one step in front of the other, even if it's a baby step, it's gonna be a big deal and it's gonna move you in a direction that hopefully is positive, right? So when it comes to
Absolutely.
yeah, the fitness stuff is just I think you're right. Everybody wants that fast result, and we're in a world where your microwave society is running everything, and we want that instant gratification. I'm guilty of it also. I love Amazon. I love some of the things that I can get in my doorstep in the next day without having to leave my house. So, I'm aware that that is what everybody seems to think is normal in fitness too. But this is years of dedication. This is years of practice, and so if somebody is in a position of lacking or they're not where they want to be and they're 50, 60, 70. I have seen 70-year-olds decide at 70 that they've got to do better because their bone mass is weakening or a doctor has finally gotten them to a place where they need to make that giant step forward and change their life. And I've seen 70-year-olds who gain muscle and confidence and posture and all of these things that change their life, even into the last or second to last decade of their life. And it's so impactful. So I think if anyone at that point can do it in their life, wouldn't we why wouldn't we want to do that sooner? Obviously, that feeling is so great. It's like a good little dopamine drug, right? We get that hit. Why wouldn't we want that sooner in our lives? So start wherever you are
Right.
today. Like start now. Don't wait. Don't say I'll do it tomorrow. Go today. You're going for a walk later in the sun. That is something. If you say I'm going to do it, you follow through. That's huge. That's a big step in that direction. So yeah.
Touch a little bit on that. You talked about bone mass,
Oof.
losing muscle, losing bone mass. I want you to touch on that because you are
Oof.
so educated on that. And I know you had said when you I shouldn't be on a podcast. You're like, oh my goodness, just wait. But I feel like so many people just assume, well, that's in my DNA. My dad was heavy. My dad had a heart attack at, whatever age. That's just on me. Or my mom has osteoarthritis. That's on me.
Mhm.
But do you believe that we can make changes today, that we can break that
Oh gosh.
off of us and not claim that? I
Absolutely.
want you to
So,
talk about that a
okay,
little
this
bit.
could
I
be
know
a
we might
long
go down a rabbit
this could
hole
be
and
a
I didn't.
long-winded conversation right here. So, I'll start with my own mother. My mother,
Okay.
again, 12 children, 12 pregnancies, 13 pregnancies actually. She only lost one, but 12 pregnancies. So, can you imagine a female's body going through a more traumatic thing than pregnancy 12 times? And my little mom comes from a family. I have two uncles who have passed away, both of heart attacks, and both in their 50s and 60s that were her brothers. She didn't have a very healthy, fit father himself. He was a heavy guy. He lived a lot longer than his sons did. But I really saw her family as being a little bit more unhealthy. She decided as a young mom that she was going to be active. We moved a lot. We were always outside playing. She grew a garden. We had like, even if it was a small plot of land, she grew everything she could and learned how to make use of the soil that she had. So when she made the changes for her life, it literally changed our DNA and
I love it.
our family. Yeah, I have a very healthy family. We all have trended in that direction. Some siblings have come to the party a little later than others. I've been preaching to my sisters for decades how important fitness is. They always saw me as the vain sister because I cared about how my muscles looked. And I would tell them it's about so much more than the muscle. It's about my mental health and my feelings about myself and all the things that you and I talk about on a regular basis. But until they did it for themselves, they didn't believe me. So that was a whole nother story. But I will use the example of this. So, yes, my DNA, my family's DNA looks a lot different than some of my cousins' DNA that come from the same family. And I 100% am not a believer that your genetics determine your history or how your future looks. I am a 100% believer that epigenetics, based upon where you live, who you hang out with, what you eat on a regular basis, play the biggest part in your future. And I do say this with surety because we've seen it. Like you can look around and say, is a heavy family, is a family that is generally obese? How do their pets look? Generally also obese, right? Their dog
Yeah,
is not part of their DNA. So if their dog or their cat is not part of their DNA, they're sharing the same habits, not the same DNA.
it's true. And as a little girl, my dad cooked Louisiana food.
So
And
good.
he would say, "Take a taste, take a taste, take a taste." And we were constantly, I mean, truly, we were constantly taking a taste, and I love my parents, but they had the same, right? Their parents cooked like that. And it just continued. And I mean, look, I know how to cook a roux, but I don't cook a roux very often. It's like
Cool.
it's a special occasion gumbo or something,
Okay, I'm proud of
I don't
you.
eat like that anymore. And my kids didn't really learn how to eat like that.
I moved here.
I remember I remember some of them complaining because, I was cooking like quinoa and some meat or something. They're like,
Remember
"What
that.
is this?
I
Cooch
remember that.
cooch. What is this stuff?" I mean, it is what it is.
It is. I
We
remember,
can change
when
it.
we first moved here in '05, I probably gained 10 pounds that year, like, just after meeting a few people and getting invited to different places and food was abundant. I was obsessed because we did not have so many of the food categories that we have here in Utah, and I didn't even know what seasoning was, or I didn't even know what a roux was. I have no idea what that even. I didn't know. I had to ask a lot of questions, but it was so good. I gained 10 pounds. So I had to get myself back in check too when I moved here because that was a that food is a tough one here. It's definitely a factor.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. I don't really miss it that much though. My
Absolutely.
dad put a roux in peas.
Mm,
Okay. I mean, if we were eating peas, we were eating it over rice with roux. I mean, goodness, it's a good thing as in my 20s I made some changes. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not perfect, not perfection, but
good.
okay, so
So
let's
wait,
talk.
can I touch on the bone
Yeah,
density thing? Okay, so I've
yes,
had
please.
clients. I'll give you this history. I became a trainer when we moved here. It was a way for me to connect with women and also make friends. And so I got my certification and started doing that 20 years ago. And I have a client that was my very first client. She's still my client to this very day. And shortly after her, I have another client that came along that I also still train. Now they train together in a small group of women that are close in age and they come to my home and train here. In this little case study, if you will, I have these two women I've seen for years. Hormonally, We all age. We're all going to age. We're all going to change our hormones and have some things happen to our body as we go through perimenopause, menopause, and all of those big changes of our female bodies. But one chose to get on estrogen with a little pushing from me because she was super, super moody and having a hard time. And the other one opted not to do that. She has kind of fought her way through the hormone battles, and her family history of osteopenia and osteoporosis was pretty prevalent. But their generation, to maybe just 2 decades ago, 20 years ago, because of the women's health initiative that was pushed so heavily in the late 90s and early 2000s, saying that estrogen would cause breast cancer for women. It was actually Premarin, which was actually the horse urine. Remember, they were using that for estrogen supplementation for women. I don't know if
So
you know
I
much
don't
about that.
know a whole lot about that. So I
So,
probably need education on that too.
okay,
But
so
I have read a little bit about it.
they don't use Premarin anymore. Premarin is no longer a thing that is being used as a substitution for estrogen, but estradiol is, and it works great. And the women who are on it right now, you should see a difference in their skin. Like, our bodies need that voluminous hormone because we have more than just receptors in our uterus. We have receptors in our bodies. Shoulders, you've had shoulder issues, right? We know the shoulder stuff, the brain stuff. When you start getting that brain fog, as women, we need to address our hormones. That is super important. And so one of my women did not take and I'm not encouraging every woman to do this. I'm just saying we need to know some things about our bodies. And one did not take the estrogen that she probably needed, and one has. And now they're in the years of doing bone scans, and I can see the difference in these two women. And one is super upset at a gynecologist that 8 years ago didn't tell her she needed the estrogen, didn't promote that for her. So here I was, just a little trainer, trying to tell her to take something, but she wasn't listening to me because I wasn't an MD. So, that's just the way it is sometimes for me. But it's just interesting to see two different women who have been on the same track, working out very similar consistently for years and years. They're very, very good women, and they have similar body types. And one is now osteoporotic and has a very, very bad hip because of her bone density being kind of just degenerative in one hip, and the other one isn't having any problems. So I'm not saying that's the
Hmm.
only reason, but there's some factors at play here that could have been addressed in 10 years ago, and she didn't have that medical care. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually need to go and get my blood work drawn. I did it probably about 3 years ago, and I was off in a lot of areas, and I started
Mhm,
supplementing
mhm.
to try to increase it. But I actually have not gotten on any hormone replacement yet. I turned 50 this year, and I'm
That's
like,
how it is.
how much longer can I push it off? But I know that it probably would do me some good as well. So
So can we talk about that for 2 seconds?
yeah,
So
let's
you
talk
just said
about
what
it.
I hear from women all the time. I tried to push it off as long as possible. If this was happening to men, they would be running to the doctor. There would be testosterone in our water because they would need it, and it would be available to them quickly, right? Because men get served faster. Do you know that the FDA took 6 months to approve the drug Viagra and Cialis? 6 months. It was
No, I didn't
authorized
know
under
that.
emergency authorization by the FDA. 6 months. Do you know how long it has taken for a women's libido drug to be released onto the market? Seven
No clue.
years. 7 years.
Wow.
7. And so I want you to see the difference in this. But you said what most women say to me, and I hear it on a regular basis. I'm trying to push it off as long as possible. But what your body is asking you to do is stay regular and stay balanced. And so if you'll get those hormone labs pulled once a year, and you'll know your numbers, and you'll see when your body starts to crash and decline, then you have the option to either move in one direction or say, do I feel good? Do I feel bad? But we don't, even as women moving so fast, we may not even recognize when our body is in complete distress. We don't always have the bandwidth to notice our own place where we're at. I mean, I know you. You're busy. You're a busy, busy woman. I know how fast you move. I know you're about to take care of your daughter who is, having a big surgery, and you're going to be even busier than always. And I have no doubt that you'll continue to thrive and grow just like you always do. But do you take time to go, how do I feel? How does Tammy feel today?
This is what I'm talking about in the beginning, calling us out on the lies that we tell ourselves. It's a perfect example, Emily.
There it is.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. As women, we need to. We absolutely need to because we do take a lot on and we take care of our families and we make sure that we're there for everyone. But it is true. We do need to be there for ourselves as well.
But we are so
So
good at we are and this is just to all women, I'll say it to myself included, we are so good at suffering. We love to suffer. And even if we aren't victims and we don't have that mindset, we suffer better than men. We suffer because we are so used to it as a species, as women. We suffer and we don't even
Yeah.
realize sometimes we're suffering. And so if we have a better grasp on that, we get to be 10 times better as mothers, wives, support team for our crews or our businesses than we ever would have been if we were in that place of mind fog and upset and mood swings up and down. If you've been there, you know, if you've been in those shoes, you know what that feels like. It's horrible. And it's not a very good place to be.
This might be a good transition.
Okay.
You know why? Because I want to talk about faith.
Mm, good.
Because, it is true. And women do look, I'll be the first to admit I'm actually in a class right now at church that's called Healing from Damaged Emotions. I'm in week 4.
Mm,
So it's heavy things in that room. Very, very heavy. And look, you've trained bodies, right?
yeah.
But it's not always about just our body. It's also about our spirituality and our spiritual self too. And so I want to talk a little bit about your faith
Mm,
and how your faith changes how you see health because there is a lot of biblical things
mm.
about our body being a temple, right? So talk to us a little bit about that. How has your faith changed how you see health?
Oh, Tammy, I just seeing you move through your own stuff that way and finding the right resources. I just want to say I'm so proud of you for making those big steps for yourself too and being able to, use your talent and your godliness and your kindness and your patience with yourself and with your family to go dig into some of those things a little bit more. That's so cool. I've watched you sacrifice so much for everybody around you, and I'm so proud of you for doing that for you.
Wish I would have started in my
I heard you
20s.
say
It
that.
took a while.
Yeah, and I heard you
But
say
but it's
that.
it's about the lies we tell ourselves, right? It's a
Absolutely.
lot of worldly lies and things that we hear when we're small,
Yeah.
and the things that we tell ourselves, and so often we don't realize that God, he loves us, right?
Amen.
And,
Amen.
we're daughters of
Mm,
the King, and so that makes me like a princess, right?
absolutely. Yeah, princess.
And we're made perfectly in His image, and I wish I would have known it in my 20s, that's all I can tell you.
Gosh. You said that a couple times in the beginning, so that is a great place to be, and in my mid-20s, I guess I'll say later 20s, we got to a place with business and just stress of being in so much turmoil all the time, just so much going on in our lives that I really pulled away from God, and I did not have a great relationship with God, and I wasn't doing anything that would have made God super proud of me in that time in my life. As I look back, I'm grateful for the contrast. I'm grateful for the opportunity to look back and see that I came from a place of darkness and now I'm moving towards light. I didn't think I needed God because my arrogance and I thought I had it all figured out. And I don't know that I was being intentionally so arrogant, but being raised very, very strict in a Christian household, I just don't remember feeling super close to God. I remember feeling like if I didn't do things correctly, then I wouldn't be loved. And if I didn't work hard enough, I wouldn't earn my way to heaven. And so certain religions, that's a very real thing in a lot of churches, and you continue to earn your way to heaven, and in the Bible, it says there's no way to earn your grace, right? Grace is given, grace is not earned, but it took me till I was 45 years old, like 5 minutes ago, to learn that and really actually internalize it and feel it, and it's so different now, and I had a member at the gym who invited me to come to church with him at Easter, and I kind of blew it off and didn't think twice about it, and he's a worship minister at a church in the local area that I live in, where we live. I didn't think twice about it, kind of blew it off, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." I said, "I don't think that's for me. I don't think I'm gonna go to church ever again." And it sat with me, that invitation sat on my heart heavy, and every single time I'd see him, I thought, "Maybe just one Sunday I'll pop in, I'll go see what it's about." And it took me till October. We had some struggles in business, and, my marriage was not the greatest, and we had been through a lot. I woke up on a Sunday morning and I got myself to church, and that was the first time in a very long time that I sat and wrestled with my faith and what I believed, and that real true belief that I am a daughter of God. That hit hard that day, and I very much connect to God through music, as I'm sure a lot of people do, and I had never heard the words of songs like this before, and they sunk into my heart, and I just remember holding my hand over my chest because it felt like it was about to explode out of my body because it was so full. And I remember that feeling coming straight down, and I knew it was all true. I knew it was. And I knew I didn't have to work so hard to get the love of God. I knew I didn't have to work so hard to pay Jesus back for what he did for me. And that that was a huge moment for me. But what that did for me in my movement for the next year, of course, I love to continue my fitness journey, I always will. But I started seeing my body different and appreciating my body differently through, like you said, scriptural reference and like seeing the fact that we have such a gift. We have such a gift. And being able to move is just one more layer of how I get to be the hands and feet of God and be able to serve my God. And so fast forward, this last year has been the biggest and most important year of my life, I will say, probably because it's not only affected me, my husband in December, probably beginning of January, uh, started coming with me to church. So it's been over a year now. He's been with me in church every Sunday. And because of that example, my daughter started coming with us to church. And so our whole family, like, Tammy, it just makes me cry because it's so,
You're giving me goosebumps. I'm telling you, and I'm not really. I don't normally show emotions. It takes a lot.
I just
Yeah,
got
I know. You're
Botox, so I
giving
can't
me.
move my face. Just got my Botox, so I can't move my face as much as usual. But it was super emotional, and I'm super grateful because it's helped us through some of the biggest trials that we had no idea were coming. And that year has been like it's been a breeze because we have God with us. It's so different. It's been not easy, but it's been so much better because we have him. And to see my daughter just, you have all these girls to take care of, and I just have one little girl to take care of, but my example to her hadn't been the best. And so getting to rewire that programming and, I felt so much guilt for all of the years I wasn't a great Christian mother to her and I wasn't leading her by the right examples. And I continually hear God say to me, like, hey, it's not too late. You can fix it. It's okay. Now is the time. And so I've been spending more time with her the last year than I think I've spent, as we run businesses and we're busy women running all over the place. We've had more time together this last year than probably years. So it's been such a blessing and a gift to have that time with her. So, but the way that has transitioned me and the way I lead is always reminding those who enter my gym and those who are working on their bodies that this is so much bigger because it's a spiritual connection to our God. And without these bodies, we are not his hands and feet. We cannot do the work because if we're not physically healthy, there is so much work to be done, Tammy. So much. Like I'm inviting everybody I know to church because that's just I love it. Like I want everyone to come and I want everyone to feel that feeling that I had when I came. You know what I mean? Just I want everyone to feel that. And if I can't be joyful and I can't be happy and I can't move my body and get out into the world, I can't imagine, that's the devil who wants you to sit on that couch and watch TV hour after hour. It's the devil who wants you to stay locked away where nobody can see you and stay in your shame and not feel good in your skin. That's the devil. It's 100% the adversary. And it's not what God intended for us to do. He wants us to be his hands and feet here on this earth.
It's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, look, that's good stuff. And I've seen a difference in you.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I told you that. I mean, it's just I don't know why. It's just you have this new glow about
Thank
you,
you.
right? So, I think everybody's noticing
Thank
it.
you.
And it's attractive. It's attracting people to you to say, "What's different?" And then you can tell your
Thank
testimony.
you.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I feel like I show up different. And I feel like I'm more confident in, you talked about confidence for women even as a trainer, even being fit and even being healthy all these years, like there's still in some moments I think I was quite mean and I wasn't who I was supposed to be. And you're laughing because there was some times when I was really hard.
I don't even know why I went back sometime.
No, that I know, and I wasn't always nice and sweet and loving like I should have been, but the Lord has really shown me where I can be so much better and I can be his help and I can be the work. I can be that person that he wants me to be and show up different. And the confidence that comes from God is unlike any that you could ever get from just going to the gym.
Agreed. Agreed. So I have a couple more questions as we kind of wrap all this up. I feel like we could talk all day,
I
which
could.
we never get the chance
I
to
never
do because
do.
I'm running in and out of the gym and you're running from class to class and
Mhm.
all over the place.
For
But
sure.
in your opinion, what are three non-negotiables for
Oof.
women's health? Because we've
Okay.
talked about a lot, right?
Yes. One we've already touched on. Okay. So I would love if all of my ladies who listen to this and anyone who happens to come across this My top 3. Number 1, we have to know where we are. We have to know where we are with blood work. It is so easy to get labs pulled these days. If you don't have insurance, a couple $100 will get you a lab report. So if you are a female and you are going to your doctor, I want you to remember this. You need to ask for your estradiol, with which they usually will pull. You need a full panel, so you'll need to know your testosterone and your free testosterone. These are some big ones. And thyroid markers, your T3, T4, reverse T3, reverse T4, and of course TSH, they run on a regular basis for the most part. But I have seen over the years so many women, and the only reason I know all this stuff, Tammy, is because I've been working with women for so many years and they're struggling to get through some really difficult times. And they'll go to the doctor and their doctor says, "You're normal, you're fine." And they leave there feeling crazier than ever, sadder than ever, and they often walk out of that doctor's office with an antidepressant prescription or an anti-anxiety medication prescription,
Yeah.
and it's not the underlying problem. It's their labs, it's their hormones, it could be a multitude of things, but they're not digging deep enough and they're not demanding the right blood test be done. So I love hormones. If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, hormone panels are a must, and I like to get them at least every 2 years if you're having some big changes in your hormones every year, maybe even 6 months, worth every dollar, worth every penny. And like I said, you can pretty much demand these of your doctors. If they won't run these tests, you've got to go further. You've got to change doctors. You may have to get somebody to pull labs out of network or out of pocket, worth every penny. So again, get your numbers. I'm going to pick on you. I'll be asking you when you get yours done because I want to know
Yeah.
where you
I
are.
have I have some friends. I have some doctor
Yeah,
friends that are in the holistic world
good.
that I could go to and get mine run
And
again.
remember this, lady.
It's been at least 2 years.
Yeah, it's time. But remember this too, just because they say it's normal does not mean it's optimal. We all know optimal versus normal are very different. So what normal looks like
Yes.
if I go to Quest Labs and normal if I go to LabCorp. If I go to two very common labs that are pulled in our area, their normal ranges on their labs are different for different levels of blood work.
Interesting.
And so it doesn't make any sense. And again, if I'm in Europe and I have low testosterone as a man, they're going to say 350 is low. If I'm in USA and I'm a male with low testosterone, 300 is low. If I'm in Australia, it's going to be 400. So it can depend upon where you live in the country, and there is no scientific answer that makes sense. That's not scientific, right? That's not at all scientific. So you have to know what optimal is, and that might take going out of your network. So that was a long answer for my number one.
No, it's good because most people don't realize too. I just learned that this year. Just because vitamin D says it's normal
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's optimal
Right.
because I was actually vitamin D deficient.
And
I mean, I'm
vitamin
in the
D,
sun all the time, really, but
no,
yes,
yes, vitamin
I
D.
take it every day now
Well,
and I
since
feel
you
so
said
much
that,
better.
for women who are on an antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication, vitamin D is stripped sometimes from your meals, and so your body does not absorb it well. And so your body will not process vitamin D even if you take it in an oral supplementation. So my ladies who are on some medications, you've got to know which medications are not allowing your body to absorb the nutrients you need from those things. And so vitamin D acts like a hormone in your body. When you're low in vitamin D, you will feel depressed. You will feel so
Yes.
again, going to the doctor, I don't feel good. I don't know what's wrong. They don't check your vitamin D unless you ask for it, usually. And so if I'm in a doctor's office describing that feeling, here comes the script and they're going to write it out, rip it off, and here you go, out the door. And so think of how often that happens, guys. It's so much more common. That's why I've been talking about it so much because here I am as a trainer seeing these women, 2 and 3 times a week, and I am exposed to them more than their gynecologist or their doctor. And so I have more time with these women. I'm like, "Hey, the red flags are in your, the flashing lights are right here. Pay attention." I had to do a lot of homework
Right.
to learn this stuff because it was important for them to have the right direction.
So number 1, blood work.
Blood work. Number 2,
What's number
women
2?
need protein. Okay. This is a non negotiable. And you've heard me say this for 20 years. Okay. I'm 46 this year and I still feel my very best. I have more muscle than I did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's because I know what my protein intake should be. Ladies, to keep it really simple, if you're 170 pounds, but you ideally would be 150, try to hit at least 150 grams of protein a day. That sounds like a lot. Yes, it is. However, as women, we need this so desperately because our bone density is going to decrease if we're not feeding the body what it needs to repair. Because if your body needs protein to be the building block of the cell, right? That's the building block of everything in your body. The organs and the tissue are going to rob that protein or take it first. Your bones get it last. Your bones are going to be robbed and they will be the ones that suffer the most. And so we need protein for women more than ever. If you can just make sure you're getting at least 100 grams a day minimum, I think most people would do a lot better, which is 100 grams. But women out there right now are eating 50 and 60 grams of protein, telling me they have enough in a day. No, they don't. Period.
I can say from experience, if I start my day with protein, I'm not overly hungry during the day. If I start my day with some kind of bad carbohydrate or some kind of sugary something, my blood sugars are spiking, and guess what? I am hungry all day and I'm wanting to eat the house.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the truth. I mean, if I'm eating enough, and it's hard, I don't get enough protein either. I'm guilty. I mean, I track it and I'm like,
But you're
man, I'm at
tracking and you're
120.
trying, but you're tracking and trying. So that's more than a lot.
I'm at 120 and eat 30 more grams. I got to drink a protein shake and I don't want it. Or like add cottage cheese with my eggs. And I'm like, it's
Mhm,
2 eggs, I'm full, but man, I got to add cottage cheese. So
mhm,
trust me, I mean, when I'm getting it though, when I'm getting even 120 to 150, I'm not hungry.
mhm.
So
Okay.
number 2 is protein.
Okay, so protein, number 2. And number 3, I would have to say is, you gotta lift weights, ladies. You gotta lift weights. And I know we've been talking about that the whole time we've been on here, but weightlifting is non-negotiable. You can do Pilates, you can do bar class, you can do yoga, you can go out and walk all you want, but you've got to find a few days a week where you incorporate lifting weights. And I'm not talking about just doing the curls for your arms. I want you guys squatting. I want the ladies out there doing some deadlifts. I want the ladies out there doing some big powerhouse moves with some dumbbells that are more than their soup cans in their kitchen. So I'm looking for the 10s, the 12s, the 15s, and the 20s at least. So if you have some weights and start lifting weights, that is the most crucial thing. And you know this firsthand that muscle on your body, you just move better. You just live better. Your whole body is just a better structure when you have some muscle on it. So I can't stress enough weightlifting is crucial for women. We need that for our bones. Again,
I like when a woman tells me, and I've had this happen, girl, you got muscles in those legs. And I'm like, I know, I work out. Thank you very much.
yeah, if you don't
I've
know
always
Tammy,
had good legs.
yeah, Tammy's got some smoking legs. She's got some great legs, this girl. She does. I
I'm
love your
like, I
legs.
know, I work out. I like to work my legs.
Great. I don't want skinny legs. I like muscly legs. They look good.
Yes,
So,
I
and
do
look,
too.
I've
I
been
like
working
being
out.
athletic.
I'm not trying to show off, but like I've been working out for 20 plus years and I couldn't, this is as big as I get. So ladies who are afraid of getting big muscles, I don't think that you're going to end up in a place you don't want to be. You'll be happy with the results. So just go after.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree. But as we close up, I always like to end with one thing. And I feel like we've just went over three. So hopefully we can come up with one thing. But if a woman today that's listening maybe is feeling discouraged or disconnected in her body and feels kind of stuck, right? Because I think we've all been there. But what's one step, just one simple
Mhm.
step that she can take today to get her strength back and to claim it?
I'm going to answer you with something that's probably not what you just asked me, but I'm going to say it anyway. We are the average of the 5 people we hang out with the most, right? We've all heard that, but it's 1000% true. So, who you surround yourself with and who is in your company are the ones that will influence you the most. So, my advice to any woman who is in that position wanting to get started, find yourself a friend. Find yourself somebody who will get you motivated to get off that couch or get up or take that step, go put on your workout clothes and go out for the walk and do whatever it is. Find the friend because the friend that holds you accountable in fitness is a real friend.
Emily, that is key. And that's good. That's real good. I love it. So that's perfect advice. So I just want to thank you for being with us today. Thank our listeners for listening today as well. And if this episode speaks to you, I just want to encourage you to share it with someone. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. So thanks, guys.